Hey, welcome to EPN. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, and it is so good to be back in the saddle again with a brand new rundown for you. It has been a while. I've been traveling. This is the crazy period right before E3. Basically, up until E3, my world is insane. I think you guys know that if you've been watching EP for a little while. I'm going to dedicate this rundown to every one of our EPN channel members. You guys all rock. Thank you so much for your support. That's a loud truck. But we always get loud trucks, and we just roll with it, don't we? Let's get started with your rundown. You may have heard that there's a new Batman in Gotham, but not everybody's happy about it. Last week, reports surfaced that Warner Brothers and director Matt Reeves have chosen Twilight star Robert Pattinson as their new big-screen Batman. The casting has yet to be officially confirmed, but Variety reports that final talks are underway, so the deal could be finalized any day now, allowing pre-production to begin this summer. As with other Batman casting announcements going back decades, the news has been met with some controversy, to say the least.
I'm Batman.
Several anti-Pattinson petitions have been launched, and there's been the usual assortment of complaining on social media. It's doubtful that this will have any impact on the studio's decision, and we'll obviously have to wait until the movie comes out to see what Pattinson is like in the role. He's not the only new actor up to bat. The new Batwoman TV series starring Ruby Rose will expand the small-screen Arrowverse this fall, and Game of Thrones warrior Ian Glenn will play a darker version of the Caped Crusader on the next season of Titans. Okay, that's a lot of Bat casting talk we have to go through right here. First of all, not overwhelmed by the idea that Robert Pattinson is going to be the new Batman. The other rumored actor that is still presumably in the running but doesn't seem all that likely is Nicholas Hoult, who has been playing Beast on the recent X-Men movies. I think he is a little bit of a better casting decision, and it's not because Robert Pattinson can't handle the job. I think he would be a fine Bruce Wayne. It's just that, as we're seeing with this backlash, it would be great if DC could cast somebody in this role that everybody's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Let's go with this. Instead, we've got to, maybe through no fault of his own, maybe just because he took a gig, but he was just such a big tabloid sensation, and he's such a, associated with being such a pretty boy, and there's so much drama associated with his previous relationships. Like, even I don't give a crap about that stuff, but it filtered into all of our lives, and so that's what we know of this guy. And so right away, the marketing departments and every interview that he's got to do and all of the work that this actor has got to do to change perception is such wasted energy. And I feel like they could have given it to somebody and kind of made a person's career instead of trying to kind of apologize for a previous career that this actor had. And maybe that's not being fair to the performer. Maybe he's going to surprise the hell out of us. Certainly I was a bit shocked when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, and he turned out to be incredible. I'm there day one no matter what.
Why so serious?
I guess you could say kind of the same thing with Ruby Rose as Batwoman. I dug what I saw, but the thing that kind of bugged me is that there was so much emphasis on Batman being over. I think Batman was just utilized a little too much in the teaser trailer that we have for Batwoman. I think Batwoman is an interesting character unto herself, and there's definitely some statements being made about the, importance of this character.
The suit is literal perfection.
It will be, when it fits a woman.
But I think they're kind of truthful statements, and I think we don't have enough superheroines in our popular culture that we can kind of show. I was just in Disneyland. That's one of the things that I was doing while I was on the road. And I got to tell you, I wasn't a huge fan of that Captain Marvel movie, but it really warmed my heart to see how many women were wearing Captain Marvel hoodies and shirts and backpacks and things like that. I think it's important, man. We need to have that representation out there. And I think Batwoman represents that a little bit, but I think the character is also awesome. We are just being inundated with Bat news right now, huh?
I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
And fan complaints haven't stopped another big franchise from going out with a bang. The final episode of HBO's Game of Thrones earned a record-breaking 19.3 million views when it aired on Sunday, making it the best in the entire run of the series. That number includes 13.6 million viewers who watched the initial telecast on HBO itself, and an additional 6.3 million who have since watched it on streaming platforms like HBO Now. This is despite all the criticism that the show has received in its final season, with many fans divided over the fates of their favorite characters and how the writers tied up all the story threads. Like Batman, there's even a petition to get HBO to remake the final season, which already has more than 1 million signatures, but don't expect that to go anywhere. However, the negative reception might influence the direction HBO takes with upcoming Game of Thrones spin-off shows. The network already has at least 2 in development, with the first one serving as a prequel set thousands of years earlier. Expect that next year. Yeah, this was a very interesting season of Game of Thrones, and I don't want to do like a big, long review of it. I have to tell you, I was mostly in heaven watching these shows. I mostly was just supremely entertained, and this is coming from a guy that's just watched the shows. I don't know the books. I don't know any of the threads or the tracks that George R.R. Martin was kind of laying for his characters. I just saw the shows, and I was entertained the whole way through. But what I definitely saw in the last 2 seasons, as the showrunners sort of took it on their own because they got ahead of the books, as we all know, is that they ramped everything up. Everything got a lot faster, a lot more action-packed, and that was definitely exemplified in the Season 8 battle episodes, which were crazy and insane, difficult to watch literally and figuratively, but good God, there was just some incredible action on screen and beautiful epic fantasy imagery, some iconic imagery. Now, that finale left me a little melancholic and a little sort of confused about some of the decisions and some of the choices. Clearly, some threads have been left for possible future exploration, and maybe some of the spin-off plans include some of the characters that we already know. Try not to spoil anything, but it felt like we were trying to get a little bit of what-if scenario with the way that they wrapped everything up. The one thing that I will say is that I was quite happy with the way that Jon Snow wrapped up. Without giving away too much about what happened, he really returns to something that made him innately happy. I think he got something that he justly deserved with his ending. And I thought that was pretty cool. And overall, I freaking love Game of Thrones. What a show. What an amazing legacy all of the creators, everybody, all the actors, everybody has left for, fantasy on television. Incredible stuff. And it will be interesting to see how it's one-upped, to see if Amazon can pull it off with the Lord of the Rings adaptation that they're working on, and Netflix is working on some new stuff, and HBO is working on some new stuff. But man, Game of Thrones has been an incredible ride, and gonna be thinking about the show and missing the show for a long time. Anyone hoping for PlayStation and Xbox to come together might have their head in the clouds. Late last week, Sony and Microsoft made the surprise announcement that they're collaborating on new cloud-based technology for both gaming and content streaming. The announcement was pretty vague, with Microsoft saying in a press release that they and Sony will jointly develop new tech starting from Microsoft's existing Azure cloud platform, which both of them hope will deliver better entertainment experiences for customers and developers. It's unclear what this means for the future of PlayStation and Xbox, but before you get too excited, the announcement doesn't say anything about integrating the two platforms. In all likelihood, this just means the two companies are working together to make better technology that can be used for both the PlayStation and Xbox separately, and not necessarily to bring those two platforms together. With the PS5 and next Xbox right around the corner, not to mention Google's new Stadia platform, expect cloud gaming to become a bigger and bigger part of the industry. Quite frankly, this is just PlayStation and Xbox kind of circling their wagons because they are threatened by Google's Stadia technology and the fact that streaming is coming. But I also think this is showcasing a decades-long rivalry between Microsoft and PlayStation, but also partnership on a lot of fronts as well. I know that a lot of Sony-developed games use Microsoft software and hardware as part of the pipeline to get a lot of these products out there. They've been working together. Sony's been building Windows OS PCs for years and software that works on Windows. This partnership is a long-standing one corporately, and I think what we're seeing here is the early stages of the idea of the screen being the portal to video games, not the console, not the hardware, not the technology, not another box. And we're going to start to see that threading. I think we're going to start to see even more of that at E3 this year with the Xbox and Nintendo kind of announcements that have already started with Cuphead, and I think we're going to see more Xbox titles out there. I think Xbox is thinking we got to get our properties on everything. What we're looking at is a future where it won't really matter what screen you walk up to. You're going to have access to lots and lots and lots of content. More people will play. The easier we make it for people to access all of this stuff, And I think that's what we're starting to see with Xbox and PlayStation. They don't want Google running away with this, or anybody else for that matter. Now, with the rise of cloud streaming, gaming laptops, and devices like the Nintendo Switch, another company has a totally different strategy for gaming on the go. The intentionally misspelled Gaems Inc. creates special suitcases, backpacks, and monitors that are designed to make it easier for you to take your entire console or gaming PC with you when you travel. They're not just carrying cases. Along with housing the systems and keeping them safe, users can actually play the consoles right from the case. For example, their latest device, the Guardian Pro XP, includes a 24-inch monitor, speakers, front-facing USB hubs, and pass-through HDMI. We caught up with Gaems VP of Business Development, John Smith, to find out who these products appeal to.
Everyone thinks that we're an incredibly niche market. We find men and women in the military that like to game buy our products. High school kids buy our products, especially high school athletes that travel. College students buy them because our products allow them to securely store their console and things that they care about in a dorm room and be able to take it home with them as needed. Picking their gaming console of choice and bringing the games that they preferred with them anywhere is an option that has been and probably always will be a demand area.
The Gaems Guardian will launch later this year. I have been gaming on the road for my whole career, partially because, Electric Playground and Reviews on the Run are always sort of out in the field, or have been always out in the field. And I've gone through some years where I've actually had to buy an HD TV because I've had to play games, and the hotel hookups have always been so convoluted. So I always looked at these devices as something really, really unique and cool, and definitely worthy for the hardcores out there that just don't want to leave their consoles behind. But it is becoming increasingly more difficult as these things shrink. It's harder for me to kind of wrap my head around packing an extra suitcase just filled with that. But people have, so it's pretty cool. I mean, this company, I think, has surprised everybody at how successful they have been for as long as they have been. Hollywood's most badass former hitman is once again a big hit at the box office. The new Keanu Reeves movie, John Wick 3, had a massive opening weekend, exceeding expectations to earn $56 million domestically and $93 million worldwide. That's a very successful haul by the standards of R-rated movies, which by definition have fewer people able to see them. And with John Wick, it's especially impressive because the films aren't part of a bigger franchise like Marvel or Star Wars. Distributor Lionsgate wants to change that.
Change of plan.
Thanks to the success of the films, they're in the process of setting up John Wick as a new transmedia juggernaut, complete with spin-off movies, video games, and a tie-in TV show called The Continental, focusing on the film's assassin hotel.
I made a deal when I agreed to run this hotel.
Lionsgate has also announced that they're already working on John Wick 4, which has staked a claim to a release date on May 21st, 2021. I saw John Wick 3. I'm going to give you guys a review in a little bit, but spoiler, I freaking loved it. The movie is kind of another showcase tour de force for Keanu to show off his incredible physical skills and his commitment to the character. It's a lot of fun, and it was also surprising to see, more and more familiar faces in the John Wick universe, because clearly the money is talking on this franchise and people want to be associated with it. It's not a surprise that John Wick 4 is coming. I can't wait. I'm going to see that opening weekend for sure when it comes out. I was bummed that I missed the screening and didn't get to review the movie with Johnny Millennium for Film Fury. Clearly he had a good time. I had a good time, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. One of Codemaster's biggest racing franchises has been off the grid for too long. The car-crazy game maker has announced an all-new entry in their Grid racing series, simply titled Grid. It will once again feature tracks and cars using the GT Le Mans regulations, including real-life tracks and new cars like the Porsche 911 RSR. The game will also see the return of the flashback feature, which allows players to rewind the gameplay every time they mess up. Speaking of messing up, the last game, Grid Autosport, only received mixed reviews when it was released in 2014, so Codemasters is hoping for a bigger hit this time around. The new Grid crosses the finish line this September. Now, I loved the original Grid. I thought it was an incredible game. I loved the tactility. I could feel the rubber hitting the asphalt in the game. It just had this friction as you played it, and the visuals were absolutely spellbinding. I thought it was an incredible debut for a franchise, and Codemasters was really making a great name for themselves as a racing game specialist. Dirt was another, and it continues to be another great franchise for them as well. Expectations were huge for subsequent Grid games, but they didn't really kind of hit the mark. So I really hope that this one just blows us away. I am psyched that it's back. I don't know what it is about the UK developers that make racing games, but companies like Criterion, the guys that did the MotorStorm titles, they make good racers out there. So very, very excited to see Grid back, and I hope it rocks. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for our rundown today. We're going to be back in studio with a fresh EP live for you tomorrow. That's at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, and you can come down to our space at the VFS Cafe. That's at 390 West Hastings in Vancouver, and watch it in person, or you can, of course, watch the stream right here. Can't wait to catch up with everybody. It's been a long time since we've been live, and I'm very excited. Thanks for watching, and play forever.